Good day guys, today we going to inspect a PC that's not showing display. Welcome, this is Ons DIY Sumahuta. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to replicate the issue and try and turn it on. So let me turn it on. You can see the fan spinning. It's normal behavior, but there's nothing on the display. It's not posting and the PC just went off. Okay, it went on again by itself. Let's see what happens. I see a graphics card, and then at the back I do see an onboard VGA, so we might use that. So just first off, what I'll say is I'm going to try changing the RAM, because the memory could be a problem, and then the next thing, if that didn't work, we're going to try and use onboard graphics. We'll also do a BIOS reset, and then last troubleshooting step is to actually swap the power supply. I want to say that is the last one, but the actual last one would then be, if the power supply is not the issue, then it is either the motherboard or the CPU. In most cases it's the CPU. Okay, so that's what we're going to try now. Let's turn this PC off. You just hold in the power button for like 5 seconds. It shuts down. Release. Now when changing RAM, very important is at the back, some power supplies has a light. You want to make sure that there is no lights on the power supply, that there's no lights on the motherboard. To release the power current from the motherboard, you'd hold in the power button. Sometimes the fans might spin, this one, and like any fan in your system might spin when you do so. It's just drawing out the current. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to swap the RAM. So just remove all the RAM, all the memory that you have on the motherboard. We're going to test all three. It could be a very rare issue with where two of them might have failed, especially if they're sharing a memory channel. So let's try with this memory. And also, when you take out the memory, try just to clean the copper contacts with some fabric, just to make sure there's no dust. You could also blow out the actual slot. Power cord back in. It's just a self-on power test that it's doing. Take the RAM off. Turn it on again. There's still no display. Okay, it does the power off again. It's going to turn on. There we go. Let's see if it shows any display. Okay, still no display. We should have had a post screen by now. So power off again. So hold in the power button. Remove the power cable. Make sure there's no lights. See the fan spinning. Okay. There's no lights. Let's take out this RAM. One could say that it might be the slot. So I'm going to try a different memory with a different slot. It's very rare for memory to actually be failing, especially if you have no overclock. I'm pretty sure this memory was not overclocked. Make sure you clip it back in. It's firmly seated. Power cord. It does its self-on test. Press the power button. I'm not expecting any display because I've noticed that you turn it on, it does some type of test and then it restarts itself. So there it restarted. Okay, so now for this PC, your PC might not behave like this, but for this PC, that is what I've noticed so far. So this is where it should be giving the post screen. It's still not showing in display. I'm going to say it's not the memory. I know we haven't tested the third one, but I have a feeling it's not the memory. So I'm going to power down again. I'm sticking with one RAM inserted because we're just doing a test. Remove the power cord. Press and hold the power button until the fan stops turning. There we go. Okay. The next thing we're going to try is we're going to try and use the onboard VGA that's at the back of the motherboard. So let's remove this from the graphics card. We don't need to take out the graphics card. Let's see. Reconnect power. Okay, turn it on. Okay, it restarts. Okay, so there's still no display, but we're not done. I'm going to shut down again. So holding the power button. Okay, remove the power cord. Some might say that is not necessary for this step, but I just want to make sure. Press the power button, no lights, no fan spinning. We're going to remove this battery. So this battery is actually, so you got two options. You can either remove the battery, which seems much easier at this point, or right next to the battery will be what they call a jumper. The jumper will be there, and the jumper is connecting the two pins on the one side. What that means is if I were to swap the jumper to the other two pins, it will reset the BIOS, and that is what we're going to do. We're going to reset the BIOS. So you can either take out the battery or make the switch with the jumper. It's really up to you. So I'm going to take out the jumper, and it's just a little connector like that. I'm going to reset it, but on the other two. So the middle one and the other one. Okay, so there we go. It's reseated. Turn on the PC. Power on. Yeah, see, when I press the power button, nothing happens because it's in a reset. Okay, so now we put the jumper on the other side, but disconnect power. Press the power button. It's not responding because it's still actually in this reset mode. Just pull it back. If there was still power on the motherboard while I was doing that, it would attempt to start itself up. Okay, so we're going to plug the power cord back in. Power cord's in. We're still on onboard VGA. We're not using the graphics card at all. We still got one RAM or one memory slot filled in a slot that was not used. Okay, powering on again. It's going to restart. See if we get a post screen. Okay, still nothing. Power off again. Holding the power button until it switches off completely. Disconnect the power cord. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a recap of what's been done so far, but it will be slightly different. What we're going to do is we're going to take out the graphics card and we're going to swap the RAM with a different module, with the third module that we haven't used yet. So at the back there's a little screw holding down the graphics card. Just keep turning it. There we go. Take that off. And then the graphics card, you lift it this side, because this side is actually a lock. So you lift it this side completely out. Okay, the next thing is we're going to change this RAM. Okay. Okay, power back in. Power on. There we go. Post screen. So what was the issue? In this case it could be either the graphics card or the memory. If it was not those two things, then if you can try a different power supply. I recommend going either with the same amount of output, go with the same or more. If it's still not the power supply, you will need to replace the CPU. Unfortunately, this was not, the CPU seems to be fine, the power supply was fine, it was actually either the graphics card or the memory. So we're going to put the memory back in to eliminate the memories and basically end up with it being the graphics card. Okay, so I'm going to press the power button once because we got a post. We're not going to hold in the power button. Pull out the power cord. Pull out the power because we're working with memory. Okay, fan's not spinning. Reseating the RAM. So ideally, when you have four RAM slots, the first one on the side and the first one on the side, they are a pair. Okay, so they share the same memory channel. So if you have identical memory, it's recommended that you use the first slot on this memory bank and the first slot on the next memory bank. It allows the RAM to work a little bit faster. But in this case, we got 3 RAM sticks, so we're just going to place it in the first 3. It's always best practice to put your memory closest to your CPU. It just makes the distance that your memory has to travel a little less. Although it's not noticeable. Struggling with these RAM sticks. Okay, there. Everything's seated firmly. Okay, power back in, turn on. If we get a post screen, it means yes, we got a post screen, so the graphics card is faulty. You can either replace the graphics card, or if you don't need the graphics card and you're okay with using the onboard graphics, then this is a possible fix for you. But ideally, if this customer was using certain editing software or needed the graphics card for games, then I would advise her or him to replace the graphics card. Thank you for watching. Ons DIY se maak goed.